Okay, so this is us going to Thavnair. I actually recorded this earlier, but it got deleted by accident. So I'm just re-recording it again.
Right, we're all set. If our three travellers could line up here, please. Yes, right there is fine. Take a deep breath, and I'll soon have you soaring through the ether. Oh, and one last thing. You might experience a teensy-weensy touch of violent ethereal sickness. Good luck!
Now she tells us.
What?
It's a nice transition. It's basically what we do every time we travel to an aetheryte.
Thavnair, home to city-state Rads at Han. Rising from the southeast waters of the Bounty, this Isle of Plenty served as the battleground for a conflict between two peoples.
That's really interesting.
Their cultures bled into one another until a unique amalgamation was distilled from the chaos, in a process not unlike their precious alchemy. Once solidified as a single nation, an adamant stance of neutrality would hold invaders at bay. For a time. Now across this vibrant isle creeps a fog of malice. What choice do you have?
This reminds me of This reminds me of any time I've ever traveled anywhere by plane or by bus, I always get this motion sickness. And especially if I ate something. I was on a bus for like 5 hours one time to Washington DC, and I think I remember I felt so sick I had to throw up almost as soon as the bus stopped. And here we all look like we just had ourselves a bad night.
Seen fairer faces after a bout of bad shellfish.
I love how caring Estinian is.
There was a note with Kryle's instructions.
There was. He said as much.
Don't let Estinian roam the markets alone. He's alarmingly bad with coin.
Oh yeah, this part was funny. So just continuing off of where I misrecorded, we had to follow Estinian over here, and he was about to be swindled by this junk monger over here. This is where we met Matsuya. That's what I like to hear. Prick up your ears then and listen. In ancient times, the Manusya and the Murga deities, who look like men and beasts respectively, were locked in conflict. Eventually, seeking the wisdom of the Manusya, The Mirga cast aside their own heads and took up those of their foes. Likewise, the Manusya coveted the might of the Mirga, and so they too resolved to trade heads. Thus were born new gods possessed of both might and wisdom, and they ushered in an age of harmony between the two factions. From then on, as a sign of their esteem for one another, the Manusya have worn animal faces, and the Mirga the limbs of men. There you are. Learned a thing or two about our gods, I trust? While you were off talking to the others, I remembered something that may be of interest. If you could let your friends know, I'll go fetch it from my home at once. Apologies for the wait. I wish to show you this hanging scroll which depicts 3 of our most revered deities. By all means, we should like to see it. They are Manusya. You heard about them already, yes? 3 sisters. The center one is the eldest, Sindaruva, a goddess of wisdom. For this, alchemists hold her in the highest. To her right is the middle sister, Sanduruva. Sanduruva, as a goddess of wealth, she counts many traders among her followers. And on the left is Minduruva, the youngest sibling. She presides over the crafts and is so beloved by waivers. Though each is worshipped for different reasons, the sisters are usually portrayed together in these works, which keep people in their homes for good fortune. In like fashion to the Manusya, the deities of Eorzea preside over myriad aspects of life. And what of the Mirga, if I may ask? The Mirga hold power over nature. In ages past, they were revered as guardian deities in times of conflict. If you have occasion to visit our temples and ruins, you'll find their images there. Among them is a god who possesses a Gaia's head. He is venerated as a progenitor of the Archasodera. And then there are dragons. They occupy a special place in our history. You worship dragons too? It is said that an ancestor of the satrap, that's the ruler of Radzatan, forged a covenant with the dragon divinity in ancient times. The divinity has since acted as the guardian deity of the satrap. Legend holds that if ever the satrap is in need, his dragon ally will fly to his aid. Dragon ally. You claim to be a terrible storyteller, when nothing could be further from the truth. The passion you bear for your faith is plain to hear. I'm confident that the information you've given us will serve well in our efforts to deal with the tower. That is very kind of you to say. Thank you. I will pray for your success. Right. I believe it's time we sought out Kryl's acquaintance. An alchemist by the name of Nidhana. According to Kryl's notes, we're to find her at a place called the Great Work, further north along the coast.
We've named it a warding scale for the time being. With this in your possession, your soul should be completely shielded from corruptive ether.
Afforded such protection, any one of us may approach the towers without fear. Thou hast mine admiration. 'Tis an invention of historical significance.
I thank you for your kind words. But I would prefer you keep them unsaid until we test the talisman's efficacy in the field. It is for the next stage of our plan that we summoned you in the first place, to accompany me to the Tower of Zot. Should the scale prove effective, as I very much hope it will, then you'll have little to do. But should the effect be weaker than anticipated, I must ask that you restrain me, or knock me senseless. Either way, we are fortunate to have you with us.
Nidana, are you certain you wish to do this?
If others are to trust our creations, then we must have faith in them first. And as the senior researcher, it falls to me to lead by example. But should I fail to return, then learn what you can from this attempt and apply it to the next. Our work must continue. Is that clear?
We'll keep an eye on the place while you're away. Assuming Fandaniel is lurking about, there's no telling what mischief he has in mind for us, or you. Be on your guard.
Shall we be on our way? I'll have one of the soldiers at the hatchery prepare us a boat, and we can set out from the northern shore. I'll see you there. We should soon cross the threshold of the tower's influence. Any moment now. It's working! And you are still yourself? Then I'd like to see how it fares closer to the tower if we could. So far, so good. The scale's protection appears to be holding. If we can just make it to the tower's entrance. A few more steps.
I don't like where this is going.
Praise be to the sisters, we made it! And the scale has proven itself to be everything we hoped it would be. Now we can focus on production. Once we've equipped and returned with an entire survey team, this menace will soon give up its secrets. What? Oh, let me go! Oh, let me go! Oh!
Oh, do calm down. You'll only hurt yourself thrashing about like that.
Stop! Oh, you can't do this! Please!
A little late for heroics, I'm afraid. The similarities are striking. My! Such hostility! Never before has my artistry so displeased. My patrons of old would have positively squealed in delight, though, between you and me, I find gushing praise exhausting. Allow me to tell you a story. Surely you've yet to hear the one about Fandaniel, the sundered Ascian. I inherited the position and the soul of the Fandaniel who sat on the convocation in the time of the final days, theoretically speaking. Practically speaking, that fact is of no consequence. I was born and lived as, well, me. Eventually, I was recruited into the Ascians and imbued with the former Fandaniel's knowledge and memories, but I never felt that they were truly a part of who I am. to explain. Perhaps if I told you who I was before my Ascian embrace, although that chapter too is a past I've long since discarded. I have it on good authority you've poked your nose into an Allegan ruin or two. Yes? Then I expect you've heard of me. The old me.
At your service. Imagine a nation of unbridled prosperity.
No way.
Every need met. Day after day of unbroken, unshakable peace. Existence fulfilled. And ripe for decay.
You are a genius without peer, Amon. However do you conceive of such delightful experiments? That fool was beside himself with panic when he awoke with the head of a bull. Even his cries for help emerged as so much guttural lowing. Oh, the memory of it. My poor sides. My friends and I were so consumed by laughter we struggled to breathe.
No more than entertainment for bored wastrels ignorant of its worth. My all-consuming work. But it was not their only indulgence. For they were ever hungry for stimulation. Slaves to the slightest hint that amusement was afoot. Our nation was ailing, but I would see the poison purged. I resurrected a legend, our first and greatest emperor. And just as I had planned, he set our wayward empire back on the path of conquest. An inexhaustible ambition carried us onwards, always onwards. Yet, he who delivered to us such glory was not to be satisfied.
Heed me, Amon. No matter how vast one's empire, or full one's treasure vault, all is rendered meaningless by death. In the end, all is lost.
That's Zand. We're actually hearing Zand speak.
You know as well as I that the Emperor stands to lose this war, and so I have come to claim you. For while your methods leave something to be desired, we cannot deny the results of your work. And as fortune would have it, the seat of Fandaniel, your rightful seat, lies vacant and waiting. Take your place amongst your peers, rather than die a pointless death amidst the ashes of your doomed nation.
Emmett Zelk.
Send one of your clones to the Crystal Tower that you might see for yourself. See what lies ahead.
The fall of the Empire affirmed the truth. Majestic and tragic, as the Emperor foresaw. Scheme as you like, build as you will, nothing endures. What is life but a brief jaunt ending in emptiness?
So easily distracted. Why, I almost left without saying farewell. As for your friend, you needn't worry. These pawns are far more useful to me alive as fuel for the primals. If you attempt to pull them free, they will die. So, enjoy tackling that conundrum with your comrades. We shall meet again! Not in one of these minor spires, oh no, but somewhere more suitably grandiose. Your favorite playmate is ever so eager to see you.
Alright, I'm back with some more MSQ. I just took care of a little bit of side questing. Now I'm ready to get back into it. Entry. Though you have been granted special permission, I ask you remain close to me at all times. Oh yeah, so I forgot, we're on our way to see the satrap. He's like the king around here. Or lord, or something.
A vast rock squats upon Thavnair, and to its stony surface clings the city of Rhodes-at-Harn.
So this is Rhodes-at-Harn. They mentioned this place in Encyclopedia Eorzea.
Ye who enter here are subject to the scrutiny of gods, the gate's most watchful eye. The orb which beholdeth the truth of all things. Pass beneath its hot and piercing gaze, bearing down like a second midday sun. The fragrant haze, a mixture of sweet incense and acrid smoke. The cries of merchants mingled here with lively melodies accented by dancers' feet. Travelers seduced by vivid sound and colors were once swallowed up by patchwork streets. But no such scenes to savor now. To what somber present does that divine eye bear witness?
Here we are, Megaduta. It seems a shame to bring you here directly. Under normal circumstances, it would have been my pleasure to show you the sights.
And it would have been our pleasure to see them. Alas, it seems our tour of the city will have to wait.
I'm afraid so. Come, we should head inside.
I mean, I wonder what we're gonna talk about.
Your Excellency, may I present our honored visitors?
Ah, splendid. Most splendid. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Ahawan, Satrap of Radzatan. Our alchemists tell me your assistance was invaluable in the creation of the warding scale. Such deeds ought to be recognized in person. Thus did I have young Varshan convey you here forthwith. On behalf of my people, may I express to you our sincere gratitude.
Lieutenant, she was taken.
A regrettable incident indeed. Her colleagues insist that we honor her wishes and trust in the talisman, that it will be instrumental in saving Nidana and the others. I am eager to hear your opinion on the matter, so let us not stand on ceremony. Come, sit.
I think not. This charade has gone on long enough. Show yourself.
Forgive me, but were you expecting musicians, perhaps? There are no performers waiting in the wings at present, but arrangements could be made if you'd prefer.
Nay, he hath the right of it. The time for artifice is past. Raise the curtain.
Oh,
as you wish.
Is this the dragon? Midgard Somer's theme?
To the students of Valdesian. but you are known to me. Even here have we heard of the scions of the Seventh Dawn. I am Vritra, and for years uncounted hath this isle served as mine abode.
This is Vritra. Incredible.
Vritra, of the first brood, sibling to Hraesvelga and Nidhogg.
Aye, mine elder brothers, of Midgard's Sorma's spawn. I was last to hatch.
He's the youngest.
Well, isn't this a surprise? We were told Radzat-Han had an alliance with a dragon. Not that a great worm sat in the satrap's own hall.
A necessary subterfuge, as the true tale of our nation history illustrates most effectively. In the beginning, the rock upon which our city is built was home to Vitra, and Vitra alone. In time, the ancestors of the Matanga came to the island and established a foothold. But never did they dare disturb the worm's lair. Next to arrive were the Aura. Adopting the example of their Akasodra allies, they too treated Vitra with reverence and respect. And for many years, an understanding between our forefathers and the Great Worm endured. Until marauding heroes from the mainland came, threatening to shatter our peace and tranquility. When it seemed all would be drowned in blood, Vitra himself came forth and quelled the rising conflict. A peaceful accord was reached, and oaths sworn in Vitra's name. Thus began the dragon's governance of the fledgling state, which was to grow into Radzat-Han.
But if Vritra is still here, then your position as satrap is just...
a charade, yes. And one which my family has performed faithfully for generations.
Many envy the Great Worms their power. Were it known that I ruled here, then the fires of war would burn without end.
That's a good point.
I would not be the flame which consumeth my people. Those few who joined me in laying our country's foundations were, perforce, sworn to secrecy.
Your eye. It was taken.
No way.
'Tis here, buried within the semblance of flesh. The body before thee is but a simulacrum, constructed by the finest artisans of Radzat-Han. With mine eye nestled within, it doth serve as an inconspicuous vessel for my wit.
What?
That would explain why I felt the presence of a dragon upon our first meeting.
I am woven with words fashioned to deceive such arcane senses. Though 'twas short-lived, it seemeth thy fusion with my brother hath left thee much altered, Estinian warm blood. From the very first, we sensed the nature of one another, yet did neither one of us bear his fangs. That is all I need know of thee for now.
With my secret thus revealed, I have for you a proposal. Not as a worm of the first brood, but as the ruler of Radzat-Han. With all haste must we take in hand the finished talismans and breach this foul spire. Thence, should it lay within our power, dispel its wicked influence, Yet even with the assurance of the warding scales, the narrow confines of the tower doth limit the size of our force.
And thus denied strength in numbers, thou must choose thy soldiers with care.
Just so. Yet though our radiant host is formidable, I see a surer path before me. Thou and thy comrades have contended with a multitude of primal beings. Most recently, thou didst cast down false gods in Pagalthan and Cartanau, I am told. 'Tis upon that strength I would call. The Scions have proven themselves the most capable, and I ask that you serve as the tip of our spear. Talismans would, of course, be provided for each of thy companions, and should you agree to this undertaking, more will be provided to make use of as you see fit.
There's no denying it's a dangerous proposition, but the rewards may far outweigh the risk. Just think of what we might accomplish if we could equip all our allies with warding scales. I worry, however, that even the four of us may be too few for what you have in mind. Might we regroup with our friends first to discuss the matter?
'Tis no trifling task that I have laid before you. Go. Steel your hearts and hone your plans. Such time as you require shall be spent in crafting your protective charms.
It seems a quick trip back to Sharlayan is in order.
Where's Estinian going?
Not lend thine aid.
Whether your request be made as a great worm or the ruler of Radzat-Han, I see no reason to refuse, nor will I.
I am in thy debt.
That meeting took a rather unexpected turn, but we now have a clear objective ahead of us. Let us rejoin our comrades in Sharlayan and muster a suitable crew for our foray into the Tower of Zot. Oh, and if you haven't already done so, be sure to attune to the Aetheryte here before departing. Unless, of course, you enjoy violent nausea. Man, so I can't go back into the city. It's in a state of alert. Okay, so he didn't mean that Aetheryte. I really hope we can save her. All right. Oh. Don't think that for a moment that I'm jealous of Alphinaud's new weapons. They're far more suited to him than me. We left for Eorzea in matching outfits, but our styles, both fashion and fighting, have long since diverged. If anything, I'm proud of the differences between us. I'm proud too. If I intend to master these sages' armaments, that will mean learning to imbue them with the same ether that I poured into Moonstone and Obsidian. 'Tis difficult to grasp the essence of such an entity. For me, it will help to think of the Nolis as allies in battle. Simply a new form of the energy which went into manifesting my carbuncle companions. Just as I was getting used to balmy Thavnair, we're back in chilly Charlian. Take care not to catch your death, eh? We need you for battles to come. Now then, everyone appears to be here, so let us take stock of all the developments and discoveries. But I want to see what Orion says. Vitra and his alchemists have prepared us for our foray into the tower. What we may accomplish within its twisted halls remaineth to be seen. That Oxidara language into Lefroy, chains doth forewarn that Oxidora languish in Telephoroi chains doth forewarn us of the nature of our foe. 'Tis the gods of Thavnair who will be summoned to thwart us. The conflict between Nidhogg and I is in the past, and though they were brothers, it has no bearing on my view of Vitra. Above all else, he is a leader of men, not an enemy. He would hardly dedicate his life to this endeavor if he bore our kind any ill will. Man, Estinian's come a long way. He really has. We're ready to get this started. Just as I was getting used to balmy Thavnair, we're back in chilly Charlian. Take care not to catch your death, eh? We need you for battles to come. Now then, everyone appears to be here, so let's take a stock of all the developments and discoveries. Kryl glances at you with expectant eyes. Since there has been progress in both investigations, shall we share the findings from our respective locales? Here we go.
Your time in Thavnair has certainly been eventful. In my opinion, carrying out Vitra's request and assaulting the Tower of Zot should be our highest priority.
I agree. While I still have questions concerning the Forum and their grand undertaking, we have all but exhausted our avenues of investigation. Simply pressing them any harder on the subject will almost certainly result in our expulsion. Therefore, I suggest we explore the ethereal sea connection by way of a letter to Master Matoya, then make our way to Thavnair.
I wonder, even with the protection these talismans afford us, what can we hope to achieve once inside the tower? According to Orenvold and Fodola's report, they were unable to free the Emolja. Worse, their attempts triggered the tower's defenses, which led to a summoning of Luna Afrit.
What does it tell us that the Spires even have such defenses? Simply pulling a prisoner from the wall is fatal, thus the direct approach is doomed to failure from the outset. Any further measures to dissuade such actions seem unnecessary. Unless, of course, there is a way to free the prisoners without killing them. Then it stands to reason that any intruders will be met with overwhelming force.
The towers appeared throughout the world in but the twinkling of an eye. 'Twas by magical means these structures were raised, I surmise. A spire thus conjured must needs be maintained. And I suspect an arcane catalyst, some manner of core, doth lie hidden within. Destroy the core, and the tower ceaseth to be, thus liberating the captives without harm.
So we can hope, and I would prefer to enter the tower with a working theory than with no plan at all.
Assuming Ishtola's reasoning is correct, the chances of the defenses remaining dormant are small to none. Any primals will have to be dealt with, and defeating one will likely only lead to the summoning of another. Our every victory will only compound the prisoner's suffering.
May we not then divide our forces? Those proficient in healing will focus on sustaining the captives. That duty can be covered by Urianger, Kryl, Yostola, and myself. The remaining scions will proceed with the search for the core. Admittedly, This strategy puts both parties at greater risk, but it should bolster our chances of saving the Arcosodora by a considerable margin. If you're to fight primals, then you'd best have at least one healer with you.
And I am more than happy to fulfill that role. I found wielding a sage's armament to be rather intuitive, and look forward to testing them against a more challenging foe.
It seems we have a plan. All that remains is to carry it out.
A military post in what's left of the Hamsa hatchery should serve as a convenient staging.
That sounds perfect. And remember, the experimental aetheryte at the confluence is there for those who need it, so there's no excuse for being late.
Let's go. Let's do this. Looks like things are getting serious. We got all the scions with us, and we have a plan to destroy the tower. At least according to Urianger, there should be a core to which the tower relies upon to sustain itself. So maybe all we need to do is destroy the core and all the inhabitants of the tower are released, or so we think. Let's hope that's what happens. Everything having to do with the fact that Fandaniel is actually Aemon, that was a surprise. I never really saw that coming at all. He is from ancient Alec, like that's who he was before he became an Ascian. So he's not actually one of the original Ascians, he just took on the role of Fandaniel. So that's what we gathered from our last meeting with him. Ah, our friend Roveorzia, we've been expecting you. You and yours will lead the mission into the tower, I'm told. The warding scales will be delivered soon. Till then, please stand by at the boat we have readied. If this is the future of aetheryte travel, I think I'll stick to boats. Aye, no warning. However emphatic, could have prepared me for that. On account of which we are a little late, but fighting fit, mostly. My friends, permit me to thank you for accepting this mission. You must be... we should still call you Farshan, I suppose? Indeed, it would not do to confuse our soldiers. Very well, then. For our part, we are humbled that you should see fit to entrust us with your warding scales. Please convey as much to His Excellency. One for each of you. Please accept them with my blessings. Ah, thanks. With these we can go anywhere those with the blessing of light can go. Not only for this operation either, but all the ones to come. We can finally break your monopoly on primals. I've been waiting for this day. So have we, my friend, so have we. Are we going to be able to bring them with us on trials? If everyone is amenable to it, let us review the strategy for good measure. As previously agreed, we will divide into two groups. Oric and his band will break through the tower's defense and locate its core. Meanwhile, the rest of us will tend to the prisoners who will doubtless want for healing due to the duress of repeated summonings. Oh, so the summonings don't kill them. It just weakens them. The primals which the tower bringeth forth shall be deities of Thavnairian myth. As we have no prior experience with such foes, pray exercise the utmost caution when confronting them. We commence the operation at your word, my friend. For the people of Thavnair, nay, the entire world, we must prevail.